The Cannibalism of Thyestes Sons. The halls of Mycenae were quiet that evening, though torches flickered against polished stone, throwing jagged shadows across the high walls. Outside, the wind howled like a hungry beast, rattling against the palace, but within all was warmth. The great dining chamber was adorned for a feast, golden goblets filled to the brim with deep red wine, thick tapestries hanging from the walls, and a long gleaming table laden with an elaborate spread. At the head of the table sat Atreus, king of Mycenae. His dark eyes were watchful, the flickering light catching the sharp planes of his face. His lips twitched, though whether in a smile or a sneer none could tell. His fingers drummed against the polished wood, slow and methodical. He was waiting. And then the great doors swung open. A tall man strode in, broad-shouldered, his hair streaked with the dust of travel. His fine robes, though worn from the journey, still bore the marks of nobility. His name was Thyestes, exiled prince, usurper, betrayer, and now unsuspecting prey. "Brother," Atreus called, his voice warm, welcoming, too welcoming. "At last you return to Mycenae. It has been far too long." Thyestes hesitated just past the threshold. The flickering torchlight could not warm the cold that settled in his bones. He had reason to doubt, reason to fear. He and Atreus had waged war upon one another, had torn their family apart, had betrayed and been betrayed. And yet, "You summon me for peace?" Thyestes asked, stepping forward, his tone wary. Atreus spread his arms wide, feigning innocence. "What is blood if not forgiveness? We have fought too long, old wounds festering between us. Is this to be our legacy? That our sons and their sons shall never know harmony?" He gestured toward the table. "Come, let us feast. Let us put the past behind us as true brothers should." Thyestes' gaze swept the room. He saw no guards lurking in the shadows, no blades gleaming in the dim light. And yet something in the air unsettled him. Atreus watched him carefully, his lips curling as he added, "I have prepared something special for you." A long silence stretched between them. Then at last Thyestes nodded and stepped forward, allowing the heavy doors to close behind him. The scent of roasted meat filled the air, mingling with the spiced aroma of wine. Thyestes took his seat at the grand table, opposite his brother. The dishes were lavish, succulent cuts of meat, seasoned to perfection, steaming in golden platters. Goblets of rich wine stood waiting, deep as blood in the firelight. Atreus raised his cup first. "To reconciliation," he said smoothly. Thyestes hesitated only a moment before lifting his own goblet. To reconciliation. The first sip was intoxicating, heady, sweet, potent. The tension in Thyestes' shoulders eased as the warmth of the drink spread through him. "You must eat," Atreus urged, watching him closely. "This is a meal unlike any other. I had it prepared just for you." Thyestes exhaled, shaking his head with a wry smile. "I must admit, I did not expect such hospitality from you, Atreus. I thought you would have me flayed rather than fed." Atreus laughed. A deep, rich sound, but one that never reached his eyes. "Come now, brother, let us leave the past in the past." Thyestes picked up his knife and carved into the meat before him. The flesh was tender, practically melting beneath the blade. The juices pooled onto his plate, glistening. He lifted the first bite to his lips and took it. The flavor was divine and rich. Perfectly seasoned. He had not eaten so well in years. Atreus watched, his fingers laced together, his expression unreadable. Thyestes took another bite. And another. The hunger in his belly overpowered the whispers of doubt in his mind. He drank deeply, the wine clouding his thoughts, loosening his tongue. "You must tell me," he said between bites, "what beast this is. I have never tasted such fine meat." Atreus' lips twitched. "You like it then?" Thyestes gave a satisfied sigh. "It is exquisite truly. Almost familiar." Atreus leaned forward slightly. His voice was soft, almost conspiratorial. "I had hoped you would say that." Thyestes frowned, some murky instinct in his gut twisting, but it was too late. Atreus lifted a hand and clapped twice. The great doors groaned open once more. The servants entered, carrying a final dish, a silver platter draped with a silken cloth. Atreus gestured, and a servant removed the cloth with a flourish. Thyestes stared. His goblet slipped from his fingers, clattering onto the table, spilling wine like blood. There, upon the platter, lay the severed heads of his beloved sons, Tantalus and Pleisthenes, their lifeless eyes gazing into nothingness. Their small, delicate hands rested beside them, skin pale and cold in the firelight. A hollow sound escaped Thyestes' lips, something between a gasp and a strangled cry. The walls of the grand chamber seemed to close in, the torches burning too brightly, the scent of roasted flesh now sickening. He lurched back from the table, his stomach convulsing, the food in his belly turning to poison. His fingers clutched at his throat as if he could claw the horror from within him. But it was too late. He had eaten them, his own sons. Atreus sat there unmoving, unflinching, smiling. "You monster!" Thyestes choked, his voice raw, broken. His vision blurred with rage, with sorrow, with the sheer depth of betrayal. Atreus stood, stepping toward him with measured grace. "You took my throne," he said, his voice calm even. "You took my wife. You schemed against me, humiliated me." He gestured toward the remains of Thyestes' children. "Now we are even." Thyestes let out a raw, guttural scream. He lunged for his brother, fingers curled into claws, but Atreus merely stepped back. "Take him away," Atreus commanded his guards. They seized Thyestes, dragging him from the hall. He did not struggle. He did not fight. His body was numb, his soul shattered. His mind was slipping, spiraling into darkness, into madness. But even as he was cast out into exile once more, a single thought burned in the wreckage of his mind. He would have vengeance. He would find his son Aegisthus, the child yet unborn, the one who would be his blade. And one day Atreus would suffer as he had suffered. The curse of the house of Atreus had only just begun. And so Mycenae was stained with the sins of its kings. The gods looked down and saw the horrors of man, and they did not forget. The cycle of vengeance would not end here. It would stretch into the generations to come, until blood repaid blood and the house of Atreus lay in ruin. For in the end there are no victors in a feast of vengeance, only the damned.